Hey lore lovers, my name's Eric with the Lorebrarians YouTube channel, and today we'll be taking a closer look at one of MTG's older characters that only recently received its first printing in the upcoming Modern Horizons 2 set. The set itself is chock full of memorable characters and creatures from the early days of the Multiverse, and I'm really excited to explore them all with you in the coming weeks. A few days ago I posted a poll on which character out of 4 you all wanted to learn more about, and I really appreciated the interaction it received. With about 35% of the 172 votes, Asmore took the lead. While I'll make a video on her next week, it was pointed out to me that several other prominent MTG channels have already released videos discussing her story. So I thought today's video would focus on one of the lesser known or popular characters. One that created a secret order whose vile members stood in opposition of nature. One whose chants and hymns shook the empires of Sarpedia, and one whose legacy can still be felt in the dark corners of Dominaria to this day. Today we'll be taking a closer look at Tourach, Dread Cantor, founder and first High Priest of the Order of the Ebon Hand, and his diabolical pursuit of godhood. But before we begin, if you're a fan of lore and storytelling, or if Magic the Gathering is dear to you, consider subscribing to the channel where lore videos are uploaded frequently. The support is much appreciated. Alright, time to step back nearly 5,000 years into Dominaria's past as we learn of the Black-Aligned Empire. Let's dive in. The setting for Fallen Empires is the southern island continent of Sarpedia on the plain of Dominaria, and its stories unfold roughly 100 years after the Brothers' War and activation of the Golgothian Silex. The empires mentioned in the set are each associated with a particular race and color of mana. The blue-aligned merfolk of Voldalia patrol the waves and lay claim to the waters that surround Sarpedia. The green-aligned elves of Havenwood take sanctuary within the forests and nurture their growth. The red-aligned dwarves of the Crimson Peaks mine ore and craft tools. And the white-aligned humans of Acacia build large strongholds through martial advancement, while the devoted worship the Hand of Justice. But what of the Black-Aligned Empire? Within the palisades of Acacia's villages, a dark force grips the hearts and minds of the doubting, where secret meetings are held in darkened buildings to profess dedication to the true god of Sarpedia. The Black-Aligned Order of the Ebon Hand has infiltrated Acacia and spread their teachings like a plague, gathering followers for their organization. The Order of the Ebon Hand has as its headquarters the Citadel and Oktep Keep, which lie deep within the western swamps of Sarpedia. The order is so named because it opposes the white-colored Hand of Justice and worships a being known as Tourach, the Dark Judge, the Ebon Praetor. Its members seek to throw off the shackles of nature and destroy all who refuse to bend the knee to their god. The flavor text of Order of the Ebon Hand tells us just how devoted these zealots are to their cause. Members of the Ebon Hand often sing hymns to glorify the Ebon Praetor and unnerve their foes in battle. New recruits and initiates must prove their dedication by severing a hand and offering it to their god. We can see this in the art and flavor text of cards like Initiates of the Ebon Hand and Implements of Sacrifice. But who exactly is Tourach, and how did he reach the level of deity? The name Tourach was first mentioned in the Fallen Empires comic when the Acacian religious zealot Oliver Farrell accused Tymolin Loneglade of being the incarnation of Tourach, the vile god of the Order of the Ebon Hand. His name was mentioned again in cards like Hymn to Tourach, Tourach's Chant, and Tourach's Gate, printed in Fallen Empires. Here we can see that the power brought forth by Ebon Hand priests and priestesses comes mainly in the form of dirges, psalms, and canticles, bits of song to glorify their god. Despite the eventual fall of the Ebon Hand and all empires of Sarpedia, knowledge of the hymns existed up to the time crisis of Dominaria, or else were brought from the past by a member of the Ebon Hand that stepped through a time rift because their power is unleashed again in the card Haunting Hymn. Regardless of timeline, all who heard the horrible songs of Tourach's followers surely trembled to their core before insanity, death, or both arrived. Although mentioned in Fallen Empires, Tourach's own story takes place decades before, in the time shortly after the Brothers' War. a time where he was not some omnipotent and demanding god who led his zealots against his enemies, but rather a single man with no movement, no society, or religion supporting him. But he would soon create all three, and a bastion of unholy worship, faithful to the ideals of the god he brought with him. The reasons for his arrival in Sarpedia are shrouded in mystery and lost to time. But Tourach landed on the continent already wholly devoted to a being known as the Ebon Praetor. See, time and history have muddled the truth. Tourach brought the idea and the religion of the Ebon Praetor to Sarpedia. It was only with passing decades and twisted memories that Tourach and the Praetor became one and the same. This is told to us in the flavor text of Tourach's Canticle and Hymn to Tourach, which read, "The same hymns Tourach sang to praise the Ebon Praetor would later be adapted to glorify Tourach himself, and Tourach's power was such that his followers deified him after his death. But before he could reach the level of God, he first had to create a religion and build a following." Tourach quickly accrued wealth and power to cut a large area of land out for himself within the western swamps of Sarpedia, where he would go on to found the Order of the Ebon Hand and its religion based in the Citadel. His message was clear and his power undeniable. The words Tourach espoused and chants he sang in worship of the Ebon Praetor gathered a large following of all types. In short order, the Ebon Hand was strong enough to openly oppose Acacia and the rest of the Sarpedian empires. Though it isn't specified how and when he met his end, Tourach died and was entombed within the Citadel, where his followers put his memory on a pedestal and glorified him as their god. His death was crushing for the Order of the Ebon Hand, but they would go on to foment religious disunity and sow discord on the continent for several decades. Tourach's memory was preserved until the Order of the Ebon Hand succumbed to their own creations when the Thralls rose up in rebellion and destroyed them. The Order and all of the empires quickly collapsed and crumbled to dust. But the power of the Ebon Praetor's hymns remain, buried under centuries of blood and dust, calling to those who hear its melody. Now that we've covered Tourach's story, I want to spend a little time on speculation and theory crafting as to who the Ebon Praetor and Tourach really are. Of course, I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments below. Although some of these details are flimsy at best, there are multiple threads that could connect Tourach with the artificial and malevolent plane of Phyrexia. First is the timeline. The Yawgmoth demon Gix spent the years surrounding the Brothers' War sowing discord and spreading religious ideals across Terra. His own followers founded the Brotherhood of Gix, where they worshipped the demon, Phyrexia, and his severed hand that fell in the cave of Koilos. They frequently mutilate and sever their own body parts in accordance with Phyrexia, a sentiment that is paralleled in the initiation rites of the Ebon Hand, where members sever their own hand. Tourach could very well have been a disciple of Gix, a survivor of the Brothers' War that washed up on the shores of Sarpedia to spread Yawgmoth's truth. Next is the Ebon Praetor, Tourach's god. Although we received a printing of it in Fallen Empires, the card leaves us with more questions than answers. But the creature-type Praetor has a strong connection to Phyrexia. Out of all the creatures that have the card-type Praetor, only 2 are not associated with Phyrexia directly. The remaining are the leaders of their respective communities on the plane of New Phyrexia. Perhaps the Ebon Praetor was a high-ranking member of Yawgmoth's Phyrexians. Finally, there could be a connection to Phyrexia through Tourach's use of chants and hymns. We've already seen the presence of canticles in the Order of the Ebon Hand, and their parallel comes to us in a cycle of cards on New Phyrexia. The Soul Eaters each have a flavor text that shows us little bits of hymnal prayers the drones, or underlings of Phyrexia, sing to their overlords. Perhaps Tourach is praising his metallic masters with his song. Thanks for watching this video on the story of Tourach and formation of the Order of the Ebon Hand. Leave a thumbs up if you like the video and be sure to subscribe for more lore content. And now I want to hear from you. Let me know your theories on Tourach and your thoughts about the Fallen Empires, as well as suggestions for future videos in the comments below. Shout out to Alex Joaquim for the intro and outro music. References used can be found in the description. Until next time, go forth and explore the lore.